just finished a collaboration with a jazz trumpeter named Richard Bolger with the song by Pat Bell, If Only You Knew, which is a ballad. We just did a duet on that. So I'm really just jump-starting back into that record, as well as recently we just started back on a small tour. Bernard's not with me on the tour, so it's really like, David Pitt Conley from the group Surface that we're doing, actually. But so that's intertwined in the mix.
Okay.
As well as another vocal record that I started maybe a few years ago, but we never put it out. I have a co-writer named Derek Culler. We call him Dirky. We wrote a lot of hit songs together, like, so for example, Don't Take It Personal by Jermaine Jackson, #1. We did that together. We did the nominating song on Aretha Franklin's album, What You See Is What You Sweat. We did the title track together. We did You Are My Everything for Surface, but #1. We did that together. And he's also a brilliant singer, so we did an album together. We're going to release it this year at some point, and hopefully, people will kind of dig up on the old school flavor and check it out.
Yes, music is universal. Music is timeless, for real. I'm right here. You have so many records that you worked on. The '79 Mandrill. And,
oh yeah. I told you I can't remember everybody, but yeah, Mandrill. That was like when I was coming up playing flute and saxophone back in the day in my local band called Port Authority back in New Jersey. We played a lot of the hits like from Earth, Wind and Fire, Mandrill, Ohio Players, Kool and the Gang, Santana. We did a lot of the hits, whatever was on the radio at the time. We called it Top 40 radio. So we did a lot of those. And coincidentally, when I moved out to California, we went to get our first record deal. We got a deal on 20th Century Records that never came out, but while I was out there, I met the guys from Mandrill. And I eventually joined the group because they were looking for a sax player, and I knew all their music anyway. So when I met the guys, it was almost like they was like my brothers, because I followed and studied them so much that I really knew a lot of their music. Plus Carlos Wilson, one of the guys in the band, he was a flute player that I really enjoyed coming up as playing flute, and I followed him and actually became pretty much almost like him as a flautist.
Wow, that's beautiful. Tell me, when y'all created the 1988 Surface hit Shower Me With Your Love, the emotions that some of the members was going through to come out with such a precious hit?
Well, that precious hit was definitely gleaned from Bernard Jackson. He's the lead vocalist from the group. And we were living out in California at the time. I think we were just had a spot there, whatever. But he came over to me and he said, I got this song that I just did for, the girls from Tony Orlando and Dawn? I said, yeah, of course I remember them. He said, well, I wrote a song for them. I want you to hear it. And he played me Shower Me With Your Love. And I looked over at him. I'm saying, what? I'm like, dude, you can't give that song to them. We have to do that song. He said, you like it like that? I said, man, that is a hit if I ever heard a hit from the first time listening to a song. And then he played it also for Dave Townsend, the other member of the group. And Dave pretty much had the same comment that I had. So it eventually became on the record, which was our first venture into the pop world. So we went pop with Happy, yes, but it was like lower in the pop. It wasn't like #1, and I think it was like number 15, I think. I don't know. But it wasn't like a #1 hit, but it was #1 hit in the R&B, on the R&B charts. So when we did Shower Me With Your Love, that was a new venture. That went like #5 pop. And that kind of put us in another bracket as opposed to just being an R&B group.
Yes,
we became an R&B pop group.
Well, I see that with Surface, y'all recorded 6 recording label albums from Columbia, Victor Entertainment, RCA, and Sony.
Well, the Victor, I'm not sure where I know what. The Victor came in with, that was an overseas album that we did for the Oriental market.
Okay.
And that was on the label that was on the RCA Victor record. Yeah, so I almost forgot about that because we never really released that record here in the States or anything like that. But now that I'm kind of gathering up the music that we've done in the past and the music that we're doing now, I'm trying to just pretty much filter it all out little bit by little bit, all out here on the marketplace. So at least, whether it's a hit or not, you'll at least have a chance to go back and get some surface music that you never heard before. And that album is called Love Zone.
That is correct. It was released in 1999, and you heard it first from David Pitt Conley. Once everything is gathered up, it will be available to the public. Yes, so let's move on. In 2008, you came out with Bird of Paradise, independent. You want to talk about that, how the independent movement of being a record label owner and independent musician took toll on your music, and explain how?
Well, that particular record, I always wanted, the flute's always been my favorite instrument, and I always wanted to kind of let the public know that I'm not only just like a, keyboard / drum machine, percussionist, sax, whatever, writer, producer, but my passion has always been with the flute, and I always wanted to do a record with the flute. So that was my first solo album on the flute, and which is called Bird of Paradise. And I had a lot of wonderful musicians. So since we're talking about that, I just lost a very good friend of mine that performed on that record. He's a pretty famous guitarist named Ronnie Jordan, and a lot of people would know him by his solo smooth jazz projects, but he has quite a discography with like people like Miles Davis, Rodgers, and a lot of big people. He's played guitar with them, and I asked him to perform on my Bird Paradise record, and he came in and played the guitar on it. So I just want to send a blessing out to him and his family and his fans, because he was a wonderful person. He just passed away a couple of days ago.
Yeah, so
I got a little bit on a tangent with that album, but the album was definitely my first project on the flute, and I invited Hubert Laws, who was probably one of the most fantastic flautists in the entire world, along with Nelson Rangel. I invited the two of them on a song by Quincy Jones, Secret Garden, and we played we actually played like the singers. You had the bars singing, like Nelson pretty much took his high stuff. We had I'll Be Sure. And Barry White, I play a bass flute as well. So I played the Barry White bass flute on that particular record. And I'll tell you, to be honest, I can't even light a match to those two flautists that I mentioned, Nelson Rangel and Hubert Law. So I figured that if I played the bass flute with these guys, I would stand next to them as a flute player, because the bass flute is a very interesting, low-sounding, Barry White-sounding instrument. And I think I pretty much stood next to the greats by playing that particular instrument. So it was almost like a perception thing with the great musicians on it. We also had Paul Jackson Jr. on that song, and one of my favorite bass players, Romeo Williams, who I grew up with. He also played with Elton John and Barry White as well. So they came in and worked on that project with me as well.
Wow.
But yeah, it was an enjoyable project. I loved doing it.
It sounds like you had a great time. I see that you still consistent. In 2012, you came out with Bassac Poinet. In 2013, two more releases with Smooth Surface, featuring David Pitt, which is you, and Me, You, and Christmas. You want to talk about that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Christmas record. Actually, I did the Christmas record years ago. Not years ago, maybe about 3 years ago.
Okay.
And I never put it out. So I had ran into a new company called TopPromoter.com.
Okay.
And so I decided to test the company out with my Christmas record. So I grabbed the Christmas record out of the crates, and I said, you know what, this music should be out there. It's really a very traditional Christmas record. It's not anything funky or fancy or anything. It's very traditional, right straight to the point with the melodies. Me, You, and Christmas really was all the Christmas songs that I kind of grew up with, and that it just ditties that you like to hear. Whether you're waking up in the morning and going through your gifts, or whether you're preparing the house or cooking your breakfast, dinner, lunch, whatever. Or sitting back, just enjoying some good music. Yeah, that's kind of what that was all about. And the Bossa Nova record that you had mentioned, I did that with the producer in England. His name is Tim Jones.
Shout out Tim Jones.
Tim Jones. I'm sorry?
No, shout out Tim Jones.
The phone was breaking up. I'm sorry, one more time.
Oh, I apologize. I said shout out to Tim Jones for working on the record.
Oh, yeah. Tim Jones, good friend. He lives out in Bath, England. And he really liked my playing, and he says, I got a band out here that we'd love to do a record with you, and Bossa Nova. And I never did a Bossa Nova record before, so he had put the band together in England and sent me the tracks in Denver, where I'm staying. And I listened to the songs, and I learned the songs, and it was like a transcontinental record, whereas I did my flute work here in the States, and he did the rest of the music with the other musicians in England and London. Actually, they went down to London to record that. And I think on that record, I used Gene Lennon, who lives in New Jersey, who was mixing the flutes. And I also used Martin Bloxon, who kind of helped me out with the melodies on the Bossa Nova, because I never really did a Bossa Nova record before, so he was very instrumental in kind of teaching me the ways of the Bossa Nova music, which was kind of generated down in Brazil.
Wow, I like the record, and I'm going to start playing it next week.
Ooh, awesome. Hey,
yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
That's another record that you can pick up on toppromoter.com as well, under David Pitt Conley.
You heard that, toppromoter.com under David Pitt Conley. David, the reason why we got you on the show is for the simple fact that you've been in the industry, I want to say more than 4 decades. And what advice you got for inspiring rising stars?
Well, right now, it's almost like there's some floodgates that just opened up called the Internet, which really enables artists to actually do things that we've done with labels on their own, because, as we all know, if you catch fire on YouTube or your website or Facebook or anything, you can actually become a pretty big artist, such as Macklemore, who came out of nowhere, and they had a YouTube hit called Thrift Store.
Right.
And the video went viral, and it went more than viral. The video went viral to the 10th degree. The video did like 300 million in 1 week, which is phenomenal. It's like really crazy. If I was to say anything to any of these young artists that are coming out, I would say, look at artists like Macklemore. And even he admitted that he would have never thought that a song like Thrift Store would have been the song that's going to open him up and become a big mega star. But, you have opportunities now that we didn't have when we were coming up. It was really the record companies that we had to lean on and try to get a record deal. Well, that's no longer necessary. You could be just as big as mentioned with Macklemore, being without a record company, but you still have to put all your ducks in row. You have to have a great song, and a great song don't have to be necessarily just like everything great about it, because it could be a very simple song. Sort of like our first song, Happy. Happy was just, only you can make me happy. Very simple, to the point, but it reached people to the point where, it kind of drove us to a whole nother level as far as just being songwriters and producers and artists. All of a sudden now we became like, big stars, international stars with the song. So the biggest thing for me to tell anybody is, no matter how good you are, how bad you are, the song is still so important, because that's what's got to reach people. You could be incredibly talented, but without a song, you're not reaching anybody. You can either go over their head or under their heads. So the song's important. The people that you collaborate with is important, mixing the record, and getting the right the writers in line, the producers in line, doing the right music and all that kind of stuff. But basically, you have an opportunity to promote yourself now. And that's very, 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 very big. And you can promote yourself, and all of a sudden something can happen. You can hear a record and say, wow, I like this record. I'm going to put it on. All of a sudden people are calling up and say, hey, I like that. What is that? And they tell their friends, and they tell their friends, and all of a sudden you virally become connected to people that you weren't able to be connected to before. And some of those people could be on the other side of the world, in Japan, in Greenland, in Germany, in France, places that, we've had opportunities to go to, but the hard way, the long way, jumping on a plane, going over there, performing for the people. Now you can just put a song out, and people on the other side of the world can say, wow, I like this, who was this? And become a lucrative business as well as a pretty popular artist. And in the intro. So, yeah. There you have it. You know, you have the internet. I say the internet.